Live with balanced news you can count on. This is News 4 at 4.
The focus of today's 5-Minute Gardener, planting big specimen cacti in your garden. They can be dramatic additions to your landscape if you choose the right ones. Our 5-Minute Gardener, Debbie Mounts from Harlow Gardens, joins us now with some tips.
Hi, good afternoon. It is the end of April, and like it or not, the heat is coming. It's time to start thinking about low water use, drought-tolerant plants in our yard, including cacti. Now, one of the things that I notice with some of the cacti gardens that I see around is people tend to forget about getting different heights in their garden. You know, in a normal garden, you have trees and bushes and grass. Well, shouldn't say normal, that's not a good word. But anyway, that's one thing that you can also do, get your differing heights and your differing textures in your cacti garden to make them great. I'm going to show you 4 cacti today that are big cacti. They're going to take up that volume and be dramatic in your yard. The first one I'm going to talk about is this one. This is commonly called Mexican fence post. This guy, I've seen them up to 18, 20 feet tall. This is one that's used in Mexico often for fencing. It's not very thorny. It's got little tiny thorns. It has an elegance to it. I really like this cacti. I actually have some at my house. This is another one. This is called a San Pedro cacti. This is another one, and both of these, all of these actually, will get multiple arms on them and they'll expand as they grow. This one is San Pedro, and again, only little teeny tiny thorns on it. It's not something like a saguaro or something that's going to be just tremendously thorny for you. A little easier to handle than some of those. This one is called an organ pipe. We have a beautiful example of that down on the way to Rocky Point. There's an Organ Pipe National Monument down there, and these things are beautiful. They just get more and more arms and they expand, and they're just really a lovely cacti. Then the last but not least is this granddaddy that I'm standing in front of. This is commonly called Peruvian apple cactus. It's in the Cirrus family. It's a Cirrus peruvianus. The interesting thing about this guy is you can see how big it is and how beautiful it is, but it also produces, it gets a big white flower like the Cirrus do, but it also produces a fruit. And it's a little kind of a red fruit that is ripe in the fall that in case you cut it open, it looks like a white kiwi. It almost tastes like kiwi too. It's pretty amazing. It's an amazing addition to any of your gardens. Anyway, so these guys are going to be dramatic in your garden, and they're not going to use much water.
They definitely make a statement, don't they?
They do. They're fabulous.
Yeah, Debbie joins us now, and she's brought with her a little baby ocotillo, which is another wonderful addition to any landscape.
Right. Well, this guy isn't very dramatic as yet. Yes. But I did bring a baby ocotillo. One of the questions we get most often is about ocotillos. And ocotillos certainly will be one of those drama things in your yard. Now, what happens is often when you buy an ocotillo in the nursery, they are what they call bare-rooted, which means they're dug out of the ground, all of their roots are cut off, and your success rate with those is only about 50%.
Oh.
So you plant one, it takes a couple years to see if it roots in your area, and it may or may not succeed. So what's happening in the industry is we're seeing more seed-grown ocotillos. So you'll see these little baby guys like this, and of course you're looking at 10 years before you have any growth. But there are bigger seed-grown ones that you can get. They may cost a little more money, but you know you're going to succeed because that plant already has a root system on it. And they do need to get some size before they put on that beautiful bloom.
And those orange blooms at the end, they're so gorgeous.
Yeah, the ones around town are just finishing their bloom, and they're just amazing. But these guys, if you add a little water to them, they will take more water than people think. They will become that spectacular specimen in your yard.
So you recommend seed grown versus the bare root?
Well, I do. You can certainly go with the bare root. You just need to know that what you're getting into from the get-go. If you go into it knowing that you may have some fail, or it may take a while for you to even realize if they have failed, then that's okay. If you don't want to do that, then you can buy one of these or bigger.
Those beautiful cactus you had in the piece, those are just...
They're stunning.
They're fabulous, but you have to know how to plant those too, because they're...
Well, and those are faster growing. those grow much more quickly than the Ocotillo does. So I have a Cirrus peruvianus in my yard that I planted about 7 years ago. It was about this big, and they're about 6 feet tall with about 6 or 7 arms on them now.
So fabulous.
So they grow much more quickly.
All right, Debbie, thank you very much.
Sure.